Hey, good evening, everyone. Guess what, guys? It is that time for that launch of this webcast podcast, Real G Talk. Listen, first and foremostly, my name is Cordell Williams, the host of Real G Talk. And listen, this is a webcast or a podcast, guys, that when real G's talk about motivation, elevation, coming from humble beginnings, and abundance never ending. So let's get right into it. Check it out. Like I said, my name is Cordell Williams, and one of the things that I really wanted to just say is that this podcast, the G, may not stand for what everybody may think it stands for. That G can stand for a lot of things, right? It can stand for growth. It can stand for gangster. It can stand for gains, and it can stand for goofy. Because sometimes we're going to talk about that. That's part of my segments. One of my segments is the G stands for. Right? And we're going to get into that some days. And then we're going to get into the golden nuggets of today. And a lot of times the golden nuggets are going to come from my guests. Right? Now, just to introduce myself, guys, I'm a guy from North Philadelphia, grew up in North Philly, and I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations in my life. I've been through the penitentiary time, right? I've been through the drug addiction. I've been through, coming from nothing and coming up and having something and being part of the game in the streets for a very long time. Let me just say something. That doesn't solidify me as a G. And that's going to be our topic. If you guys can see it streaming on the bottom tonight, that's going to be our topic, right? That's going to be our topic. What is a G? And tonight, someone I have with me that's going to talk, we're going to talk about that, right? What's going to be our golden nuggets for the day is, for those of you who follow me, y'all know that I do, Real G Talk Nuggets of the Day on my regular page, on my Cordell WMS page. But on Real G Talk, we're going to give away golden nuggets. Because guess what? These nuggets, these are jewels, something that you want to keep on. If you get a gold nugget, you want to hold on to it. So I have a good friend of mine, someone I've been knowing since I was 10 years old. And we're gonna come to you guys today and we're gonna explain, right, and give our definition of what a G is. So this young man or this brother, right, he is a brother to me. Number one, he's my brother in Islam, number one. Number two, we grew up in the trenches and came from the mud, came up together. And one thing I can say about my friend is that he's always been a friend. He's always been a friend. Someone that's been my day one. When they talk about day one, A1, he's always been a friend. From the streets to the penitentiary to back to the streets. He's always been a friend. In my ups, when I was up, he was my friend. Didn't change. When I was down, he was my friend and didn't change. A lot of that came with tough love. But nevertheless, he was still my friend. And that's hard to say out here nowadays, to say that you have a friend that you've been friends with for over 30 some odd years. I'm 50. So we've been friends for almost 40 years. Now I want you guys to really understand that. So when we come on here and we talk about what is a G, I don't know any other better person to bring up to talk about this particular subject than my friend, my man, my brother in Islam, Nasheed. Bring my man up on the stage, man.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah.
Kif haluk?
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah. You better catch it.
Alhamdulillah. What's up,
What's good with you, my man?
Oh, alhamdulillah. Listen,
hey,
man. I was listening to the introduction, right? And yeah, that's all on point, man. Wallahi, that's all on point, right? And I really appreciate the formal introduction. And I really appreciate you giving guys a glimpse into our history, with one another. We go way back, man. We can strip it down to kids till we start really running crazy in the street, the penitentiary, the religion, everything in between, man. And we still standing strong together. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, right. So, man, listen. So, I've told them just a little bit about myself.
Right.
And we're gonna get into the topic, right?
Right.
We're gonna get into the topic in a minute. But, as we were talking last night, right? Now,
Yeah.
mind you, we was on the phone. I'm gonna say this tongue in cheek, right? I'm gonna let it be. No, we was on the phone like we was a couple school kids last night. We was on the phone for like 2 hours last night, right?
Yeah.
We had a long conversation, and as we was talking last night, the only thing I could do this morning was really reflect on the mercy of our Lord, that we made it through all the things that we've been through, right? And when we talk about what our topic is today, what's the golden nuggets for today, right?
Right.
The golden nugget for me is understanding and defining what a G actually is. Because in our terminology, right? If you go from our terminology, when everybody saw this, like they thought that this form or this platform that I was doing was going to be for only dudes like us, right? That gangsters, right? They come from the street, this gangster, or this and that, third. Like, they don't understand. Like, a woman could be a G, and they don't necessarily have to mean she was gangster.
For sure.
You follow what I'm saying? Anybody can be a G. It depends on how you carry it and who you are when you say that you're a G, right? When somebody entitles you a G. Because here's the thing. Now I'm keeping this always a beam. I never gave myself that moniker. I never called myself a G. That moniker, that colloquialism, that verbiage was used by other people in my hood and in my surroundings to describe me sometimes, right? I never went around and told nobody I was a G. Later on, I did, but when I was coming up, no, I didn't. I never categorized myself as a G. I never categorized myself as an OG, right? Other people categorize me as that, as they did you, right? You follow what I'm saying? So for me, when we talk about what a G is, to me, a G is an individual that has some growth, right?
Right.
If you come from where we come from, because you bust your gun don't make you a G.
Right.
If you come from where we come from, because you sold some drugs don't make you a G, right? If you came from where we come from and you take care of your family, if you came from where we come from, or even beyond that, because I got some white business partners, right? They straight G's to me because they do what's right. They give back to the communities that they come from and other communities that they don't. They help people in their time of need.
Good
right?
money.
They give good advice, right? A G is one that's 10 toes down and has been in the mud and worked his way up, and now he's helping other people to elevate and motivating them. To me, that is a definition
real G
of a G, right? When you take the knowledge and the information that you have, and then you relay it back to other people. When you help someone to understand that, hey, that street life that you live in has an expiration date on it. That's when you're a G. When you're giving the real information to a person, right? When you're telling the person, hey, listen. When somebody asks me, well, what saved you? What saved me was only the mercy of my Lord, and religion saved me.
That's it.
Religion saved me. The religion of Al-Islam saved me. And I'm be honest with you, the way that I was running, it saved a lot of other people.
Real talk.
You follow what I'm saying? So therefore, so it's like, for me, that word G doesn't necessarily have to mean that negative connotation of a person being a gangster, right? Or anything that's negative that's associated with the word G, right? When you say somebody's a G, I consider a lot of people to be G's, and they're not even from the street.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? So it has nothing to, for me, my definition, it has nothing to do with an individual being from the streets.
Right.
So let me hear your kalam on that, my man. And for those of you who don't know, kalam means speech.
Right. Bismillah. Well, for starters, right, I have two definitions that I wanted to elaborate on as it relates to G, right? And I believe that these two, when it break down, covers every other aspect of a G. You feel me?
Right.
And the first one, you said gangster, right? I believe that G stands for gangster and gentleman, right? And I say that to say, like you said, we grew up in the trenches real heavy, right? And along the way, them trenches, we learned some principles, right, that I'm not regretful of because it made me who I am today. You feel what I'm saying? And those principles that molded me, you know, to who I am, they're part of me. And they still help me along. They still help me along, right? The gangster part. The gentleman part is what I lead with now. You feel me?
Right.
So, in a nutshell, I want to say that I believe being a G comprises all of that because I can't do away with one because they both complemented each other in my life. And I'm gonna get more detail, right? I grew up, like you said, never calling myself a G, right? Because unlike a lot of people that I've encountered over the years that proclaim that, John, right? That's not the stamp I was looking for when I was doing gangster shit. You feel me?
Right.
I was forced by circumstances growing up. Single mom, pop, and all the men that was in my family that I was looking up to. I'm the youngest, right, sibling. And I got one sister, so it was a bunch of men from my uncles, my brothers, you know what I'm saying, my father. And every last one of them cats had a street element, right? So these the men that I was taken from. I was eating from their hand. I quickly found out as time started progressing that they was instilling in me survival tactics because the habitat I was in was violent. It was impoverished. So it was a lot of things I had to learn how to survive. You feel what I'm talking about?
Right.
So those gangster things that I was prone to do wasn't for a gangster stamp. It was by instinct. It was survival.
Okay.
I never did it for TV. Right? Never to this day, you know, we don't do stuff for TV. Abdullah. Right. We ain't them type dudes.
No.
And the gentleman always was present as well. Straight A student, very intelligent. You got people that can co-sign that was whoever went to school with me and was in my classes will super co-sign that. 9 times out of 10, I was helping people with their work. I was always top dog in the classes, student of the month every month, student of the year, all that. And
so let me ask you a question then.
Right.
So how did you manage that? Because now, just like yourself, I was the same way. We already know
right.
that.
Yes,
I graduated college with a 4.0 GPA. right?
Right.
So
Right.
how did you manage, right, to have that G in you, right? And let's say for all intents and purposes, being a nerd, right?
Right.
But not nerdy acting, but being intelligent. How
Right.
did you manage that in the hood without being ridiculed?
Okay. Because my mother wouldn't have it no other way as it relates to school, right? My mom was big time on that.
Right.
Cause every one of us is super duper smart. My brother Bass, Bass was big time drug boy when did 16, 18 years in the feds. Before that, did 7 years in the state, all for getting money, right?
Right.
What people don't know is he went to Masterman High School, right?
Right.
He had scholarships to Harvard and all that. Like, this boy's a brainiac, my brother Bass.
Right.
And you know Bass.
Right. Yeah.
If nobody tell you that and you haven't experienced that with him to know, you wouldn't know. Because
Right.
everybody look at him like he's a gangster.
Right.
Very intelligent guy, man. And when you do the math on most gangsters,
Very
they're
smart.
very intelligent.
Right.
You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
I got an uncle. You know my uncle. I ain't gonna throw no names around.
Right.
He might be the poster child for gangster in our neighborhood.
Definitely was one of the top.
Right. And this guy super duper intelligent. This guy done beat murder cases with no lawyer. Stuff like that, yo.
So listen, let me say this. So you're absolutely right, right? And to be solidified in my book, it was definition of a G, is that you have to be intelligent. Every when you talk about gangster, every major figure gangster, right, that you've ever seen, they had to be extreme strategist.
Yup, real
You
talk.
had to be strategists in order to survive the way we survived out there. So because some of us didn't survive and some of us weren't that smart, right?
Yup.
And in order for me to say that you was a G, like I said, G doesn't just necessarily mean busting your gun. You had a role to play. Everybody had a role to play, right? Where we come from, everybody had a role to play. If you was known to be a soldier, you was a soldier. If you was known to be the top dog, if you was known to be the boss, you was the boss. But in order for you to be the boss and be able to do the things that you was doing out there in the streets, guess what? You had to have some intelligence.
I'm telling you. Else you wouldn't survive. Like
you wouldn't survive. You wouldn't survive. And so that is like the catalyst. But when you say you killed it when you said the G is for gentleman and gangster. That in itself encompasses everything that I talked about before, right? Yep. Because like I said, I do have some friends, right? Right now we're talking about we were just talking about the street element of what we consider a G is. Now let's go a little deeper.
Right.
Let's talk about what we think. How do we get to the point where we talking about an individual that we could say that was a G move, right? That was a gangster move. Now, not having nothing to do with the streets. Now we could look at some. We could just name some things. We could look at Jigga. We could look at what Meek and Jigga just did. To me, that was a gangster move.
That was gangster, right?
Move, right? But they are also from what? The streets. But let's look at who's their partner. Let's look at Michael Rubin. Gangster move. That's a gangster move on his behalf, but he's
a Billy Goat, man. So he gotta be a gangster.
He gotta be gangster, right? So let's examine that, right? Let's pull that apart for a minute. Like coming up, we would sort, hey, the G's, right, were people that was in the street. As I got older, I started to look at that word gangster in a different meaning, right? And I'm like, man, that dude ain't from the street, but that's a gangster movie pool, right? Nothing negative, but it was just smooth, and the way that he did it was cunning and intelligent, right? Or the way
watch what I elaborate. Go ahead.
The way she did it was cunning and intelligent. Like I seen my mom do some gangster moves. My mom, my dad, like you already know, my mom, my dad was in politics. I seen the worst gangsters in politics. You know what I'm saying?
Real talk.
Real talk. I seen the worst gangsters in politics. Growing up in my house, growing up in a house where your family, stemmed from the Panthers, right? When they was from the Panthers and the BLM and things like that. They was, I mean, not the Black Lives Movement, but the BLA, the Black Liberation Army, right? When he was from that era, when my dad get caught with my stepdad get caught with a trunk full of guns, and Cecil B. Moore is his actual lawyer. You follow what I'm saying? Like I come from that militant mindset. So I had to know, one, I had to be intelligent because that was always preached in my house. Number two, I had to learn how to be a G, but also be smart about it. But I see that people that wasn't from the streets, like my mom, my dad, that wasn't from the streets, how gangster they was. I seen the politicians, how they moved and how gangster their moves was, because their moves was motivating and elevating not just themselves, but the people that was coming along with them. That to me is gangster.
Real talk. In hindsight of that, right, I want to say that you bringing it all home, because in all actuality, you can't separate the gangster from the gentleman, because see how you pointing out all these moves as gangster, and see how you said the street had a different definition, and you had found out later on from doing your own homework what you felt like a gangster was. I already was fixed in on those qualities of a gangster when I was growing up. I wasn't fixed in on the outward, the brawn, the heart, the muscle, you know what I mean? The brashness. I wasn't fixed in on that. Right? Because I always knew niggas that had that, and I still deemed them suckers. Right. So it was always a separation for me, and it was always certain qualities that I would deem a guy gangster. And that came from me growing up, watching the gangster movies, but really keying in, going past all the brawn and keying into the mindset and the moral fiber and the stuff they still was working by, and the things they were instilling, that if you just looked at the other stuff, the murders and the this and that, you was skimming. You would never know what a gangster is to this day if that's all you got from watching a gangster. The gangsters I watched took care of the community, man. They made sure people was employed. They made sure the old ladies on the block was cool, and safe. It was a lot of other things that was put in place as it relates to morals and standards. You feel what I'm saying? And set a certain pace in society. Even with the joint, when they was going in doing, they getting racketeering charges and they doing all that. If you really go past that, when you say, why is that gangster? Because what they were doing was being what you said, liberals. They were always going against the grain of a corrupt structure to begin with.
Right.
And they was pulling themselves away from that corrupt structure, and they start to be opposition to this corrupt structure. But it was all for the greater good of the community. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And every real gangster that I ever knew carried it like that. You could strip away the like the street stuff, really. Because like I said, I could put my hand on 100 dudes that got them qualities, and I still call them a sucker.
Right.
You get where I'm coming from?
Right. So so here's the thing, and this is going to be a segment going forward, is that you say you can call him a sucker, but we can say, I can call him now when we say a goofy.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
These dudes is goofy.
Exactly.
Right? Because they're those moves that they're making are goofy. I and like I said, like I see some guys out here, right? That they, like I said, they don't have the street knowledge, but they are making gangster moves. And I see some guys that do have the street knowledge, right? The street knowledge, and some people may consider them a G because of the bravado, because of they supposed to be they're a stepper, they're a shooter.
Skimming. They don't know the true definition.
They're not looking underneath the surface. I'm gonna give you an example. When you see individuals go and they say, "Hey, I'm gonna build something from the ground up," right? Whether it's a record label, whether it's a podcast like this, whether it's something, to be able to take that risk, put themselves out there, become vulnerable, and then make it happen and elevate, that's
gangster, yo.
These single moms out here, right? Single moms out here that are struggling, but they working 2 and 3 jobs to take care of their children. Now, maybe the dad is around and he booked. Maybe the dad is around and he just a piece of shit, flat out.
Or maybe he ain't around. Period.
Or maybe he ain't around. Maybe he's not living. But she's out there. She out there doing what she needs to do to take care of her children. That's gangster.
Right.
She's a G. Right? And but also that G can also stand for growth.
Yes, sir.
Right? That G is now I had to grow into being a G. Right? I had to grow into being a G. Now, like I said, I grew up seeing that things. I grew up around, we all grew up around each other. Now, the things that we were doing, everybody would consider us a gangster. As a matter of fact, that's what they call it.
Because you could make movies about that stuff, man.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, people don't understand that. People don't understand. People don't understand that. Or maybe they don't know. Like, they literally can come and interview you, me, and a few other people, and they can write a whole gangster novel and 3 or 4 movies about the things that we've been through. But that doesn't solidify us as G's.
As a real G. I get you.
As a real G.
Because the growth, if you get stuck right there, then you ain't grow.
Right. If that's all you know, if you couldn't get to from, hey, understand that these streets has an expiration date on them, and that you have to move and motivate yourself from being part of the streets and disconnect yourself from the streets and pursue whatever it is you want to pursue. Even if you wanted to go to school, right? If you wanted to go to school, you wanted to go to college, or say you wanted to start your own business, or you wanted to start something. Now, listen, if you was a G in the street, right? If you was a G, right? And you was a dope boy, and you was smart about your business, you was running $1 million corporation.
Easy.
You was running $1 million corporation. You just didn't treat it like it was $1 million corporation. But those same skills that you did to do that, you could use those same skills, those transferable skills, to do other things. To me, that's gangster.
Now you're speaking towards what I said initially when I said I don't regret some of the things I carried out of that world because it still compliment and help me today. That's the action I'm talking about.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. Those same qualities that we used in the street that you can transfer positively and still, you know what I'm talking about? And some people never had that kind of grooming, you know what I'm saying, to have that component. So I always think that guys like me and you is a step ahead of a lot of people, yo.
Yeah,
and even a book written person. You feel me?
Yes, and here's where we keep our status as G. Not as if we could ever lose it, but here's where we keep our status as G, as a G, is when we do things like this, and we go back and get a game.
Back.
We go back and get a game. See, the G and real G talk can be the game.
You keep it moving with this G talk, man.
Real game talk.
This real G talk.
You got to go back and get a game to the ones that's coming up underneath us, right? Or the young ones that's coming now. I give my granddaughters game. I got 4 granddaughters. I get them game from the rip.
You know, I got a 9P. I got a tribe, yo. I really got a tribe, man, and it ain't even halfway finished.
Right?
I got plenty of kids that ain't started having kids yet, and I got 9 grandkids already, yo.
And so that's what I'm talking about. So now it's up to us to be able to that G in us. We got to get that game to the kids, so it could be growth, gangster, gentleman, and game. And then you gotta have the goofies.
Yeah, the goofies. You gotta have the goofies.
Listen, you gotta have the goofies. You know why you gotta have the goofies? Without
Tell
the
me
goofies,
why.
Say it again. Without the goofies, there wouldn't be a G. You know why? There's polarity in everything. Polarity means the opposite. You have to have the opposite of everything. So if you got a G over here, you gotta have a goofy.
Listen, the religion teaches that you don't fully understand the truth, the full truth and its full extent of something if you don't understand its opposite.
There you go. There you go. There you go. You have to understand the opposite. You have to understand the polarity between the two, right? So now once you start, now that's the growth in G. Right? With being a G. The growth in being a G is understanding the polarity and understanding that, hey, you may have been and I may have been a goofy at a certain point in time. No matter how much of a G we thought we was, when we listen, let's keep it a G right now, right? Let's keep it a B. When we was running around doing those things that we was doing, we was freaking goofy. Some of the stuff we was doing, we was goofy. You see what I'm saying? But like you said, had we not went through those things, right? Had we not went through those things, then our test wouldn't have been our testimony today.
I'm gonna tell you the most time I ever felt the
I can't hear you, bro.
You hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
I'm gonna tell you when I felt the most goofiest. The points in my life when I felt the most goofiest. And I was at my most humblest state in accepting that reality and going about change is when I was in them penitentiaries, man.
I knew you was going there.
You hear me? When you find yourself in them penitentiaries, that's when you know I'm a goofy. I done gave up my whole rights and my whole control of my own self, and I got a bunch of real goofies. I done subject myself to be under these people beck and call, telling me when to do what, where, how. You gotta feel like a goofy then,
yeah. Most I was told once by an old head, if you don't want to be a clown, stay away from the circus.
That was a heavyweight joke.
You feel me? Listen, and I knew you was going there when you said that, because to be honest with you, that's when I felt the goofy. Listen, and then you because when you first get there as a young boy, we went there in our 20s, right? When you first get there as a young boy, you walking around, you got the strut, you got you thinking, you like, yeah, I'm here with the old head,
the first couple trips, you still
see
on turkey time, you still thinking it's about the other shit, you know what I mean? Controlling this, doing that, until you find out you don't have no control over nothing.
Nothing. Until I'm gonna tell you when I said this. Here's a G move for you. Ready?
Yeah.
I kept going up for parole. Right? I kept getting 6-month hit. Right? One of the old heads on my block, I'll never forget it. I came back. You know how the green sheet come, right? So I had put in the pills and things like that. I'm waiting to see if they're gonna, you'll give me some of that time back, because I spent like almost 2 years in the county before I went up. So it was another green sheet stating that, hey, your parole is denied again, right? So I said, man. So the old head pulled me to the side. He said, Abdullah, come here for a minute. He said, tell me what you say to the parole board when you go in there and talk to the parole board. And I go in, I'm in my 20s. I go in there and tell them, man, I'm gonna go out here, I want to do this, but and this is my plan, but I'm talking like I'm talking that, right? Just like that, right? Goofy, right? So he said, listen, he said, in order for you to be able not only to survive in here or get out of here and go out there and survive, you have to be a social chameleon. So I'm like, what you mean by that? He said, you have to be able to go and sit in front of a Fortune 500 company and converse with them. And you have to be able to converse with your friends in the streets.
That's me, yo.
So he said, here's some books along with your Islamic readings. Read these books too. So he started giving me some self-help books from guys like Tony Roberts and John C. Maxwell. And I'm looking like,
Heavyweight Jones.
Look, I'm reading these white boys. I'm like, these white boys, But when I went back and I was always a straight A student. So I got into them books. So I started to carry myself a little bit different. You know what I mean? Now my Islam is setting in, right? That's fortifying me. Now I'm getting my Islamic knowledge, and I'm also getting now this other secular book knowledge about how to speak to people, how to talk to people, how to carry yourself, how to code switch, right?
That's part of being a G2, being well-rounded, man.
And that's what it was. So the next time that I went up for parole, I went in there and I had a conversation with them and explained to them my situation articulately. Not like I was a young boy off the street like I was coming in the previous times. They granted me my parole. Good I went back. I never forget. I think he was from Pittsburgh. I can't remember his name, but the old head was from Pittsburgh. He wasn't even from Philly. He was from Pittsburgh.
Giving you all the game.
Get the G. He gave me G. You feel what I'm saying? And he was a G. He was a G. Actually, I believe he was so much of a G, he might have been either a Blood or a Crip. Right? He was so much of a G, right? But he was a G. And not just because he was a Blood or Crip, but because he gave me the game. Nobody else gave me the game. He gave me the game. He said, I seen young boys, and he had life. He didn't have to tell me nothing. He said, I seen young boys come and go out this joint and come back. I don't ever want to see you come back. So this is what I need you to do. And we sit down and bust it up. Sit down and bust it up for hours. But he quizzed me the whole time. Now, you gonna talk like that? Those are G moves. You follow what I'm saying?
I want to interject something right there.
Well, go ahead, Sheik.
Just the mere fact that I want to highlight something. That when we were young, we still had enough common sense to listen to something that can benefit us. This generation now won't even pay attention, that kind of attention, and that's what they missing out on, a whole lot of benefit, man, that could benefit their lives, man. I had to say that because when we were young, we had a different regard for OG to the extent that we would be able to grab them jewels because we would align with them and we would take our position where it's supposed to be under the wing, and we would be humble enough to do that. This generation likes to put themselves forward too much to the extent that they're missing all the G. And I had to say that, man.
And listen, you ain't saying nothing wrong, man. You're absolutely right, man. And I think that it's frustrating for me in certain areas, because I still right now to this day I have young boys that I can go and I can get game to, right? And I can see them implement that, right? You know what we say in our religion: knowledge without implementation is useless information.
Yep.
Right. So I can see them go and implement that.
Right.
And then I see, then I know the ones that's goofy. They're not going to do nothing with that information I gave them.
Right.
But nevertheless, me as a G still have to give them the information.
See, my thing is the way I move with it is I check the temperature. If it's a person that I believe, if it's a youngin that I believe got enough common sense to listen and they got enough humility, you know what I mean? They the ones I invest my time and I share with. If I get off the gun bus that you're haughty, you know what I mean? Any kind of struggle, any kind of hard surface I gotta break to get to that, I ain't got that kind of energy and time these days, because like I said, I got my own squad. I got 12 children of my own that range from 8 years old all the way up to 31, about to be 32. See what I'm saying? So that occupies me, and they got the rights to it first. So it's case by case with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I've shared and I've raised, and the guys that I've raised, that's G's, they credited. You know what I mean? Some of them call me, you the 5 I never had, and shit like that.
Right.
I mean, and these guys they groomed in the sense that they take care of their kids. You know, they fathers. They might not have a father, but they get the game that no, go the opposite direction and that. Be the one, you know what I mean? Break that curse.
Right.
You be a father to your kids, and I see them taking them jewels and working by it, and it make them better men, man. You know what I'm saying?
And one of the things, man, you know, before we jump into something else, right, is that this platform that we have now, right, that you're building your platform. I put it down the bottom, guys. That go and check out Nasheed's podcast at to the point on
Appreciate
IG.
That.
On IG, and go ahead, give me the days. See what days you popping.
It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. on our IG live. That's to the point 267. You go ahead and follow us.
Let me fix that.
Yeah, you go ahead and follow us, and you just tap in on that live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. You know what I mean? And we also, if you miss it, all the content, all the episodes is on YouTube. Go to the Point YouTube page, or when you go to that IG, hit the link in the bio, and it'll take you to all the content on YouTube.
So yeah, also guys, I'm gonna remind each and every person that sees this, right? Go to my YouTube page, Real G Talk, Real G Talk, hosted by Cordell Williams. Like and subscribe it, because there's more stuff to come, guys. This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, myself and my man, we'll build a foundation. He's my special guest tonight because he's my longest friend and a real G. And I know there's somebody that was gonna come on here and have some real conversation. And listen, and let me say this. Keep this a beam. Sometimes we might touch on subjects people might not like. And guess what?
Right.
Guess what?
It's life.
It's life. We
and
might
every aspect of life ain't pretty.
We might have opinions that people may not agree with, and that's absolutely fine. Because I truly believe if everybody's thinking the same, then nobody's thinking.
Heavy one.
So I want you guys to
go another G, a gem.
A gem. There we go. Yeah. So we giving out game gems, golden nuggets today, guys. We're giving it up to you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm gonna continue to give it up. And from time to time, my man, she gonna pop in. I pop in on his phone, and we're building something that we're going to be able to give other people a voice. So, like I said, it's gonna be people that get it from the mud. That's out there that I'll be spotlighting up and coming artists. I'll be spotlighting up and coming entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? I'll be, helping people advertise their business on here. But what you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, you got to run them likes up. You got to get this algorithm going.
Number G, give back.
Give back. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this game to some people out there. I'm going to get this G to some people out there. I'm going to have some $1 million entrepreneurs on this platform, giving y'all some game about the network marketing industry or whatever industry they may be in. I have some I got $1 million friends.
Good money.
That's multi-millionaires. And they're willing to come on here and give you, ladies and gentlemen, some game. But guess what? You got to be able to tune in. You got to be able to tune in because you never know what you might hear that's going to help you. And that's another G, and it's a gift. It's a gift. And if somebody giving you a gift, you should be open to accepting that. And that's what we're giving out. We're giving out game. We're giving out gifts. We're giving out gems. We're giving it up.
Good
and that's
money.
what we're doing. That's what we're doing here on Real G Talk, guys.
I want to say this, man. Make sure that y'all tap into Real G Talk, man. What's your days?
Right now, I'm going to be Thursdays at 7:30.
Thursdays at 7:30. Make sure you tap into this, man, because this is something that I believe is going to be very beneficial. At the same time, entertaining. At the same time, it's going to cover all tracks. So I think that y'all need to allot this hour or however long on this Thursdays evenings and tap in with Cordell with this Real G Talk. This Real G Talk, just the mere pretense of it. You know what I mean?
This is
something heavy.
Yeah, this is an introduction. It's just getting started. It's just an introduction.
Something heavy, man.
It's just an introduction. It's going. We're gonna touch on a lot of topics. Before we go, right? I'm gonna just get some of these topics, guys, to be able to look for. We're gonna talk about what's an op. We're gonna talk about the definition of a rat. We did that on She's podcast. What's an op? What's the definition of a rat? We're gonna talk about the power of manifestation. We're gonna talk about some of us are running with scissors. I'm gonna let y'all figure that one out.
Running with scissors.
Some of us running with scissors.
I'm gonna put some brain work to that. I'm gonna call you later on and tell you what I think that is.
Yeah, right.
Bismillah.
Overcoming poverty and addiction. I have some people in there that's gonna be. We're gonna talk about what happened with me. How did I do it? One of my close friends, he lives in Miami now, lost 5 homes. He lost 5 houses. But he had to overcome that poverty and addiction. Now he has his own media company. I'm going to talk about it, right? Getting out of your own way. We're going to talk about things like, what's your fears? What do you fear, right? And one of the things we're going to talk about is marriage, how to make it work. Ooh. I got some authors that wrote a book. They're friends and business partners of mine, and they wrote a book called Marriage, Love and Marriage. So I'm gonna have them on. Me and my wife been married 23 years, alhamdulillah. And we're gonna be on here talking. So it's gonna be
y'all, man.
And me. And so it's gonna be a vast array of topics, guys. You just gotta tune in. Now, before we go, these last 10 minutes, I gotta talk right now, this G, I want you to define what this G is when I say it. And now, because of what's going on right now in the world, I got to touch on some current events.
Give it to me.
This Ukraine and United States thing, and the Russia invading Ukraine. What G would you give Vladimir Putin and these politicians? What you gonna give me? Talk to me. You frozen, Sheik? You froze, Sheik?
I'm with you. You with me?
Yeah, you back now.
I first want to say this here, right? First, I thought the fix was in, right? Because soon as you mention certain things, right?
Right.
Everything was good money. Right?
Yeah, right.
And then as soon as you mention good things, it go goofy, right?
Right.
But we back on tap. We tapped in. Listen, to be honest with you, I've been getting some stuff on a skim on the fly about it.
Right.
But based on what I know, right?
Right.
The first G I want to strip down is government. Right? That word.
Right.
Because
okay.
people skim a lot and they don't go deep into what the real meaning and what the real essence of stuff that they put down on us in these programs they put down on people.
Right.
You have groups of diabolic people, right? Who only aspire to control and rule. And that's what govern means. Right?
Right.
And they flamboozle people into thinking that it's going to be in fairness, right?
Mm-hmm.
When fairness would never accomplish that agenda.
Right.
Because that's uneven ground already. You want to rule and control. So how you think you're going to be dealing something fair? So you'll go any extreme at any cost, and you'll sacrifice people, morals, principles, religion. You'll sacrifice everything that's been placed here to protect, you know what I mean?
Right.
The honor and the sacredness of humans, right?
Right.
You'll compromise all of that to meet your agenda. And that's how I look at government all across the board.
Right. Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So in saying that, says a lot towards what's going on. You know? Right. I don't think any of it's fair. And the people is always the ones who become victimized by this kind of activity and this mentality are the weak, the meek, the innocent. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And it's ungodly. It's ungodly.
So,
and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give everybody they just do come that day, man.
So if we think about it, right? You think about it from, I look at it from a macro point of view, right? Now I follow these things because I have to know what's going on in society because I am a social worker.
Gotcha.
By trade, by career, right? So I need to know these things are going on because I never know. Maybe I have a Ukrainian client, right?
Right.
And I have to be empathetic to what they may feel about what's going on.
You got to know what's going on yourself.
Right. So I need to keep myself abreast of these things. And the G that I would give it is I definitely would give this the goofy tag. Right. I got to give it the goofy tag, right? Because the government itself has been goofy since we came over on them boats.
Real talk.
So it's always been that control and that systematic control. But now when they, like, I used to say all this all the time, and people used to be like, what do you mean by that? So when the United States was at war with Iraq, when they was at war with Afghanistan, what I kept saying was, how can you go and somebody, that's like me going to your house and telling you what to do in your house. You in somebody else's land telling them they should have democracy.
Yeah, what is that if it's not what I'm saying about power and control, yo?
That's all it's about. That's all it's about. That's all it's about. And it's on both sides. So now you have two goofies fighting each other. Now, no, don't get me wrong. In order for them to be, they're goofy, but they gangster with it because they are definitely smart and strategic in the manner that they're doing it. Right? Putin knew exactly where to place his troops on what border, then took two sovereign states and said, two sovereign countries that's right on the border of Ukraine and said, oh, they belong to the Soviet Union, so I could go there. And then the only thing, and then he gives out a stern warning, which is really gangster, and says, if you interfere, United States, I will bring about something
that y'all never experienced.
Y'all never experienced in your history.
That's a heavyweight threat, yo.
Listen, so my thinking was, I'm saying, Joe, mind your business. I'm saying that. That's what I'm saying to myself. Like, Joe, mind your business. Because I want to see my kids graduate college and high school and things like and get married and stuff. But if it goes there with him, he doesn't care.
You know the part I don't respect about them guys, man. And I was speaking on this with my partner the other day, just briefly. The mere fact that a person can instigate something of that magnitude, right, that they themselves never participate in. that boggles my mind, Abdullah. How do you sit there and instigate a war, then when the war go on, you go and tuck, and then you're nowhere near the casualties?
That's
the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he fought wars for the sake of Allah, under the command of Allah, right?
Right.
To establish the Sharia and stuff like that, which we all know is the most perfect law, that if everything in the dunya was governed by that, it'll be so tranquil you can fall asleep on the pavement with all your belongings and don't have the fear of anything being touched, because what's governed the people is the fear of Allah. Right?
Right, yeah.
So they fought to establish that, and he was on the front line, man.
Right. So that in a nutshell, and just thinking about that in a nutshell, is what we're getting at. So there is two goofies in governments and separate governments in the country that is putting everybody else in jeopardy while they go running to hide. They send other people's families out to go fight a war that they instigated and that they started.
So good, man.
Joe Biden's son did fight in the war, so I can say that about him, right? But he's not going to fight in the war. Putin's not going to fight this war. These other people are going to fight this war, and it has these wars really have no merit.
Right.
They have no merit to them. They have no merit.
Power struggle, man.
It's not G. It's
not G at all.
At all. This is not gangster at all. It's goofy.
So, I agree.
The only people that's going to be hurt in this war are the regular people.
Allah protect us from these evil people, man.
And me.
Yep. And our families.
And our families, man. And listen. And the families of those individuals who are going to be on the front line, man. And those individuals on the front line, man.
And me.
I know that they're fighting. They're only fighting because they're taking a commandment from someone that has no base to even give them a command if they really thought about it. But
really get a little deep, especially over here. They catch people in vulnerables. They users, man. They catch you in a vulnerable state. They offer you all this stuff you ain't got. Come on with us and fight. I'm gonna make sure your school's paid off, or this, that, the third, and fourth.
Hey, listen. Hey, she. When I started to get in trouble when I was like 14, right? And I caught that first drug case in Lincoln High School.
Mm-hmm.
So I said that my stepdad had sat me down, had to talk with me. With some real G's around, they had to talk with me, right? And so they were like, "So what you gonna do? You can't go. I don't want you back out there." I said, "I'm gonna go in the military." He said, "No, I'd rather have you back out in the street. A black man ain't got no place in this army."
You listening?
You hear me?
That was another gem, man.
That was another gem. You see what I'm saying? So we've been getting this G, we getting this game, these gems from real G's from a very long time, but we have to take heed. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end this right in a couple seconds because tonight you got some gems. It's up to you what you do with them gems, right? So I'm gonna end this live over here. All right, Instagram, I'm gonna type out because
I really appreciate you inviting me too, man. I really enjoyed myself. It was really beneficial, man.
Hey, no problem, man. Hey, see, you're gonna be a regular on my joint, man.
Yeah, I'm rocking with you, man. Bismillah, I'm a rock, inshallah.
You're gonna be a regular on my joint, man.
Yes, sir.
Before I go, I have to highlight. So for today's highlight of an up and coming artist, I got to do family. My nephew, Little Winston, also known as Static. He was formerly a football player for a wide receiver for Penn State and Shippensburg University. Unfortunately, he suffered too many CTEs, so therefore he has chosen to step out of the realm of playing football anymore. He's not going to do pro day, and now he's delving into production and in music. And this is his first joint, and it's not even music; it's more like poetry toward to some music.
Connect me to him too.
I got you. So I'm gonna play this as we slide out, guys, and I listen to him. This is some real G talk.
Word on the street that I'm heaven sent, handling issues that are prevalent. I ain't got time for a testament. I'm just a temporary resident. Let me tell you about the regiment and how I'm moving so intelligent. It's snitching if I give the elements. Just know the
like him already.
Static's here, so you should up your estimate. I got my soul and I ain't selling it. I'm on a mission, I'm a specialist.
Talking in language.
I'm more important than the president. The shit y'all talking is irrelevant. My time is coming, get ahead of it. Mood swinging, hope I level it. Storm is coming, hope y'all weather it.
It connects us, man.
So listen, guys, that's just a little taste of my nephew, Winston Eubanks, aka Static. Listen, man, and this young man is super intelligent, has 2 degrees already, and this is the field that he chose to go in, and he's making some strides. So you guys go to all streaming platforms and get the regiment. Go to all streaming platforms. Called the regiment.
I'm gonna look for that.
Get the regiment, and I got you, shit. I'm gonna connect you. So listen, guys, this has been Real G Talk with your host Cordell Williams and my special guest Nasheed. And listen, on Real G Talk, what we're going to talk about and continue to talk about is what real G's are going to talk about: motivation, elevation, coming from humble beginnings, and abundance never ending. So let's get it, guys. Peace. I'll talk to y'all later. That's nuggets for the day. Real G Talk.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.